You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
So Warner Brothers released a teaser trailer for the third season of Pennyworth, which will be on HBO Max soon. They don't actually say when, but it's soon. And they've renamed the show to Pennyworth, The Origin of Batman's Butler. I'm a little more worried about that 10-year plan now. Stick around for the Dan Wickline show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline show here on The Experience. It is Wednesday, October 10th. It's New Comic Book Day, so please remember to hit your local comic shops. If you are traveling and are not sure where a local shop is, check out comicshoplocator.com. They will, you go to the website, you put in your zip code that you are in, and they will tell you the nearest comic shops to your location. It is a great service, and remember, definitely go and visit new comic shops when you get a chance. You never know what you're going to find. So, hey, Jeff. Hey, Cool. How you guys doing? I got to tell you, I think I had JD worried a little bit. JD producer, not JD the artist. Because I didn't get to the broadcast until 30 seconds before. And so I got a little text from him as I was logging in going, you coming? So, but the reason I didn't get here until then is I was still putting together stuff for today's show. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Warner Brothers again. We've been talking a lot about Warner Brothers. I only threw in the thing about the Batman's Butler because I think adding the subtitle is completely unnecessary. And having watched the show, I've watched both first two seasons, and it has very little to do with Batman. Yeah, you've got Bruce Wayne, you've got Thomas Wayne and Martha Kent. No, Martha Kane. If it was Thomas Wayne and Martha Kent, that would be a story. JD, get somebody on DC on the line, will you? I think I got an idea. Hey, Edward, JD is the one producing today. But you've got this unique show, but it's not really following any particular continuity. It's supposed to be a spinoff of the Gotham series, except Jack Bannon, who's playing Alfred, is actually playing him more like Michael Caine's version of Batman from the Christopher Nolan movies. And he sounds and looks like Michael Caine to the point where they even refer to him as Alfie. And Alfie, of course, was one of Michael Caine's early hit movies. I mean, it just really... There is so much Michael Caine going on in this movie, or in this TV show. It's ridiculous. So it's a very unique thing. It gives us a London that never existed. So the fact that they've got to slap on there, the origin of Batman's Butler. This is such an Elseworlds, if it is, that it's kind of hard to believe that they're forcing that logo on there, or that label on there. But it's a fun show. It is really one of the oddest things I've seen, but is just so much fun. and the actors are great. They moved it from Epix, where nobody was watching it, over to HBO Max last fall. So if you haven't seen, I'm talking about the show Pennyworth. It's available on HBO Max. Like I said, it was supposed to be a spinoff of the Gotham show, and it's basically Alfred Pennyworth back in his days when he gets out of the service, Special Forces, and what he does for England. But it is one of the most unique shows I've ever watched. It's a lot of fun. And again, it's on the first 2 seasons are on HBO Max. The 3rd season's coming up. And like Gotham, that started off as a simple police procedural set in Gotham, turned completely crazy. Pennyworth does the exact same thing. It starts off and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's an odd little show, but it's a little bit of the old British Avengers show, a little bit, Michael Caine, early days. Yeah, I get it. And then they'll start taking turns, lefts and rights, and and by the time the first season ends, it's in a completely new place. And season 2 is just as insane. Hey, Ship, how you doing? So yeah. But they put out a teaser and the teaser doesn't tell us anything. It is one of the oddest teasers. Is Kyle lurking? Oh, you never know. I haven't heard him yet, and JD's on the board. So Kyle usually only lurks when Jay is running the board. So yeah, check out Pennyworth if you get a chance. But today they announced that it's now Pennyworth: The Origin of Batman's Butler, which again is one of the worst titles ever. So, all right. But why I was a little bit late is I was still kind of catching up on stuff on Disney Plus. I just watched the assembled video for the making of Miss Marvel, and I also watched the 5 short animated features or animated stories of Groot. So we'll talk about that, and then. I also watched the latest Only Murders in the Building, and that's going to be how we're going to end the show. We're going to move to that. They finally start giving us some real suspects, but it's going to be interesting to see where they're going with this. But so let's first talk about I Am Groot. I Am Groot are 5 short stories on Disney Plus. They're about 5 minutes long each. They feel like they could be in continuity. They might not be. It's just they're animated, but in such a way that it doesn't feel animated because it kind of looks like Groot from the movies, or Baby Groot. It's all Baby Groot. There's one called Groot's First Steps, and it's basically picking up from the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, when Groot is in a pot, and he's just growing. And it's basically him getting out of the pot, and it all takes place on is it the Benatar? No, they changed the name of it. It's all on Star-Lord's ship. So the first one, the 5 of them are kind of interesting because one takes place on Star-Lord's ship. 2 of them take place on nowhere. And then 2 of them take place on alien planets where, and we see him heading back to Star-Lord's ship at the end. It's not spoiler stuff. You're not going to go, oh, Milano, thank you. But at one point, there's also the Benatar, I believe. I think he has 2 different ships. Because doesn't one of them get destroyed and he gets the other one? But yeah, there's no spoilers for the show. It's kind of weird. Also, you can't just pick one, start it, and then have it go to the next and the next and the next. Each one is treated like it's its own thing. So you come out of one of them and you have to go and find the next one. Yeah. So I think it was the Milano and then the Benatar. But so yeah, there's Groot's first steps, which is him basically getting out of the pot. Then there's Groot takes a bath, which is really cute. They're all cute. There's also Groot. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically like Groot is Gulliver in Gulliver's Travels, where he finds a little. He kind of learns the different ecology systems on a planet, where he sees bigger things than him, and then he sees a group of smaller creatures than him, and that's kind of fun. And then there's also one where he's chasing something on nowhere, where he's searching for it. And then the final one on nowhere is going to completely slip my mind. But like I said, they're all just... Oh, yeah. One of them has another character in it. So most of them are just Baby Groot and an animal or an alien life form he's interacting. But then one of them has another one of the Guardians in it. Technically two other members of the Guardians, but it's only like a cameo of them in the background. So, but yeah, they are cute. Edward, those sound fun. I have to check them out. Do they incorporate from fun 80s music like in the movies? There is one that specifically has a tune in it from the 80s, like that. And that's the one that takes place, I think it's on Nowhere, and involves a couple of the other Guardians. So that one has a specific tune to it. The other ones, I don't remember having a specific tune. But one does have an 80s tune to it. So, and they feel like they exist in the world that James Gunn has created. You know, it's not like, oh, we've taken these characters, we're doing this other thing. It's just fun little things. They're silly. Kids would get a kick out of them. There's not a ton of dialogue. Vin Diesel does come back and voice Groot. Another Guardian comes back to do their part. This show song needs to be YMCA. The one 80s song I keep hoping that James Gunn's going to put into Guardians is, I thought of this one the other day, is Slade's Runaway. Because that just seems like it would be a fun song for them while they're running away from something. You know? I really like the way Gunn picks music. Part of it was the stuff in Guardians of the Galaxy, but also his musical choices in Peacemaker were also brilliant. He picked a band called Hardline for one song. I think he picked Hot Sherry. Now, Hardline was a minor band. They had a couple hits. They came out... their music was used for a Brandon Lee movie that he did with Powers Booth. That the name slips me right now. Yes, I was singing Down Under yesterday. No, but well, Hardline. I got a hold of the first album. Hardline's also got two of the guys from Journey in it. Jonathan Cain and man, my brain is just fried today. Anyway, so when the Hardline album came out, it was big to me. I was playing it a lot, It was right before I started my own publishing company, and I ended up using the name Hardline for my comic company that I started in the mid-90s. So the fact that he picked Hardline to be the in Peacemaker meant a lot to me. Yeah, it's the one that wasn't the Crow. I think it was like Hard Target. No, Hard Target was Jean-Claude Van Damme. But yeah, Powers Booth and Brandon Lee were in a movie together, and it had a couple Hardline songs in it. That's where I found about him from, and then I went on and just loved the album. Rapid Fire. That's it. Thank you. And then I ended up naming my comic company Hardline Studios and put a few books out under that in the mid to late 90s. So big ups to James Gunn for putting Hardline into Peacemaker, and all of his musical choices are great. One of my favorite scenes in Guardians 2 is the Yaka Arrow scene where they've busted Yondu out and he walks around and just starts killing Ravagers. That scene to that song, that is absolute brilliance. I could watch that scene over and over again and do at times. If I ever just, all right, I'm having a bad day. Let's go to YouTube. Let's find the Yaka Arrow scene from Guardians 2. Yeah. So, God love James Gunn. You have to. The man is super talented. That's the thing with Marvel is they find these really talented people. Taika Waititi, just down the line, they find these really, really talented newcomers, give them a shot, or guys that you don't think, oh, we should give them a big superhero movie. And then when they do, it's great. So, okay, so that was Groot. That, like I said, it's cute little stories. None of them are big continuity things. No, I'm sure someone's going to go through and nitpick through it and figure out, what all the Easter eggs in there. There's new rock stars and heavy spoilers and what's the other guy? Screen Crush, the guys that do all the breakdown videos, all the Easter egg videos. I'm sure they're going to go through all 5 of those and find a bunch of things that I just glossed over altogether. But overall, they're just cute little videos. They're fun to watch. I watched all 5 in short order, and they're a blast. I really like those. Let's see what's else going on here. Still the Bronx Tale bar fight for that. And yeah. Edward says John Favreau is one of my favorites. Oh, absolutely. When it came out that Iron Man was going to star Robert Downey Jr., who was still starting to make his reunion, or not reunion, but he had been in jail. He'd been a bad boy, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was the first thing that people gave him a chance on, and then suddenly Marvel's like, yes, we're going to put our major franchise, our big franchise chance in the hands of Robert Downey Jr. and the guy that did the movie Swingers. We're going to make it. Yep, we're going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread soon, and we're going with the Swingers director and Robert Downey Jr., and we're going to make it like an indie film, and we're going to get Gwyneth Paltrow, and the director is going to star in it as well. Oh, but we've got the guy from The Big Lebowski. He'll be the bad guy. We need another person. How about the director will call up one of his buddies and put him in as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and we'll get the kid from Christmas Story to be a scientist. Yeah. How that movie worked, I don't know, but it is brilliant, and it is still probably one of the best Marvel movies. Yeah, everybody ranks Marvel movies, and for me, I like the smaller Marvel movies. I like the ones that focus on the main character. It's like Captain America Civil War. I've never gone back and rewatched it. It's like I've never gone back and rewatched Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War, because they're big and they're grandiose and emotional and stuff. I love rewatching Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi. You know, those are the ones. You know, Winter Soldier is brilliant, as is. I like First Avenger. I like those movies where we get a focus on the hero and still then we get into the big universe stuff. So I do like when they focus on the heroes, and I look forward to more. You know, Black Panther is another one that's just great. Oh, I didn't dislike Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is a good movie. Iron Man 3's got a lot of good stuff to it too. And as a trilogy, it's really strong. But you know, for me, I like the first one because I do like when we just focus on the hero and building that character's world. Those are the ones I want to rewatch. Those are the, you know, get to know the characters. It's like I can't think. You know, I don't think I'm going to sit down and rewatch Multiverse of Madness anytime soon. But I've probably watched the first Doctor Strange movie a dozen times. It's one of those that in the background I'll just turn it on because I like it, or I'll sit down and listen to the director's commentary on it. Do we know if there's a director's commentary on the Multiverse of Madness? Audio commentary. Well, we'll be watching this later. So I will be watching it again because I want to watch it. I'm that guy. I watch all the director's commentary, or with all the director's commentaries. And yes, I buy physical media. So let's see. What am I missing here? Am I the only one? See, everyone seems to hate on 2 for some reason. I've seen hatred on 3. I don't see a lot of hatred on 2. But I like Edward says I like Iron Man 2 a lot. Iron Man 3 was the weakest in my opinion, but I still like it. I hate what they did to the Mandarin. You know what? I'm with you on not liking what they did to the Mandarin up until recently. I think Shang-Chi basically negated my hatred for what they did to the Mandarin, because we've got such a great Mandarin in Shang-Chi with Wen Wu that it kind of understands what they were doing. It's like, okay, he was just borrowing the name. We have Extremis in that one. We have, I almost call Guy Pearce. I almost called Guy Pearce Guy Fieri. And by the way, now I want you all to take a moment and think about Iron Man 3 with Guy Fieri as the bad guy. Would it be better or worse? Just having him pounding Iron Man going, I'm bringing the flavor. That's going to stick in my brain for a while. All right. I'm down with the Flavor Town. You know what? All right, let's go ahead and take our first break. I'm going to let that ruminate in your brains for a bit. We come back. We'll talk a little bit about the Miss Marvel behind the scenes, and then we'll get into Only Murders in the Building. So be right back, folks.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
Nope, still thinking about Guy Fieri as an Iron Man villain. If he made a suit of armor, would he be the Iron Chef? I could show myself out if you guys want. Other than it didn't have a sound, JD, that was perfect. All right. So I hadn't had a chance to watch the Miss Marvel. I believe they call it Marvel Assembled when they do the behind-the-scenes stuff, and I love those. Again, I'm that guy. I watch all the extras on the DVDs. I watch the audio commentaries. If they put out something like that, I watch it. I watch the gag reels. Yeah, I'm that guy. Now, that said, this one was a little different for me because it felt like it was less about the shooting of it and more about, what's a good way to put it? Nick says hit that thumbs up button. So you don't want to upset Nick. Trust me. Don't upset Nick. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. So the Marvel Assembled for Miss Marvel is much more about the creation of the character and bringing in the different actors. And I loved it for that because this was a unique group of actors they had in this show. This wasn't people we're used to seeing. This was a lot of Bollywood actors, a lot of newcomers, but there was a good number of actors that were from, that we hadn't seen before, and it was introducing us to not only a different culture, but to actors that are incredibly talented. I mean, if you've watched any Bollywood movie, then you know that these guys, not only do they act, but they dance and they sing and they do all this action stuff and comedy, and it's in one movie. It all gets pushed in there. And they did all that in the series. So bringing in these actors like Mohan Kapoor to play Yusuf, or, Sagar Shaikh to play Amir. those guys. There's one specific one. I have to look what his name was because he wasn't in the first Seeing Red. He was definitely in that one. The actor Farhan Akhtar, who played Waleed. He is not only an actor and a Bollywood star, but he's usually directing and producing and writing the movies he's in. So this is a guy who's super talented, and he does all these things, and he's just making these movies like crazy, these Bollywood movies. And they call him up and they say, "Hey, we're doing this Marvel thing. We'd love for you to be in it." And he comes. And all of these actors are happy to do this project. And there's just so much culture in it. And that's what they're talking about. They built the entire Karachi set in Bangkok. And most of the actors were like, well, how's that going to work? How are you going to do a set? And then they got to it and they were all stunned how accurate it looked, how good it looked. And also when they have these costume designers and stuff at Marvel. Well, this is one of the first times that they did the costume design in-house. So the same company that was doing the sets and putting everything together, the production company, also did the costume. And it's a great costume. Her costume came out looking really good. It's very comic accurate, yet still feels like it'll work in the MCU. Normally when they do something that's, the MCU takes it to a little more practical, a little more utilitarian aspect to it, where, you see it in Captain America. In the first Captain America movie, they give us the standard out of the comic book page costume when he's doing the USO show. And it's like, yeah, that looks just like Joe Simon's drawing that he did in 1940, and showed to Martin Goodman. It's exactly what it looked like. And then when it comes time to him actually going to action, it's like, get rid of that cloth. Well, no, I think he kept the cloth mask. He might have done. But he got a helmet and he got a leather jacket and a web belt. And it was much more tactical. He kept some parts of it, but overall, he got rid of it. And then when it came time to actually put a costume together for him, as we see it go, they tried to adapt as much of the original look to it. But as the series continued, he became much more tactical and in a lot of ways pulled from the Ultimate comics, the Ultimate line of comics. So the Cap look became better and better in the movies. Well, here they made a costume that looks like it fits in with all of that stuff. Yet when you look at it, it still feels and looks pretty close to what was in the comics. And that's not an easy feat. So congrats to them for pulling that off. But there's also a lot of talk about the culture and bringing in the partition. Now, I've said this before. I'm a student of history. I get into stuff like that. I'll hear about something new, and then I'll dig into it and try to learn as much as I can about it. And I've been that way since high school and junior high even. So when I come across something, so I probably have a better knowledge base than the average person just because I get fascinated by things and I dig into it, especially with history. I had never heard of the partition. I knew nothing about it. And I think that's another reason I really liked the series. And I didn't expect to like the series because I didn't have any connection to Miss Marvel. And, I'm not a high school teen angst story kind of guy. So from the outside, this didn't look like it would interest me. And especially like family drama, all that stuff. But the two things that made me really love this show was the cultural and historical aspects that they brought in and her family. I came out of that first episode just loving her father, feeling so bad for him when he was in that full Hulk costume. And she's like, it would be embarrassing to go with you. My heart broke for him. JD makes a good point. I think it helps that her costume was meant to be something that a teenage girl could make on her own, except her mom makes it in this show. Spoiler. And it's kind of a conglomeration of things that they come up with through the show. You know, the blue from the Red Daggers gave it to her because of the history, you know, in that cloth. The red scarf that Aramis Knight's character gives her. The logo is her broken necklace. I mean, all of that kind of made sense. But when, you know, they were talking about, the actors were talking about having something that would appeal to a global audience that would talk about something like the partition meant a lot to them. And Aman Vellani, who is very interesting because she was born in Karachi, but then moved to Canada. And she said that she learned more about the partition and her Pakistani heritage while doing the show than she had any other time in her life. And again, it's because, you know, here in North America, whether it's Canada or the United States, we really don't cover that much. And I don't know about England, if any of our listeners are English. I mean, I've talked to my mother who grew up partly in England. My mother was born in London, or Gloucester, actually. But, you know, she didn't hear of the partition before either. And the British were involved. I mean, because that's what the partition is. It's the British bailing out of India and the country being divided into parts and everybody having to race to their part. So, but the behind the scene thing is really cool because it's less about the actual making of it and more about everybody involved and how much they enjoyed what they were working on. And you really get a good feel for Aman Vellani, that she really is a comic book fan, that she really did love these characters and stuff before getting the job. She said that she actually had no interest in being an actor, but loved the Miss Marvel character so much. I mean, she, like a few years before this, she went as Miss Marvel for Halloween and has a picture of herself in the costume that her and her grandma made. And then she gets the opportunity to audition and gets the part, you know. But it's really interesting how all that comes together and how they talk about it. So if you like the show, I think you'll like the behind the scenes because it's that kind of similar vibe, that it's about the family and the culture and the history. So it's like an extension of that. So, okay, JD, go for it. What's the treat? Oh, that's funny. Oh, man, that is great. Yeah. So, any of him in an armor? Because that would be awesome. Yeah, Edward, that's going to be stuck in my head for a while now. Master of the Mystic Seasonings, you know. Oh, there's so many things. You just switch in like names of seasonings for all the weird stuff that, you know, instead of the Book of Ashanti, it's the Book of Coriander, you know. There we go. The Iron Chef. Oh, okay. We are completely off the rails now. All right. Let's go ahead and take our second break, and we'll come back. We'll talk only murders in the building. So we'll be right back.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome everybody, it's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the damn Wickline show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
I think Edward wins the day with the wearing the Eye of Amuleto. Well done. That was good. Well, thank you, Jareem. He says you have highlighted some excellent points on history and culture while giving insight into the series. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we are going to shift now to Only Murders in the Building. The 8th episode dropped today. Well, yesterday. And I had a complaint about the 7th episode. And my complaint was that they had kind of lost the theme of the show. They weren't really giving us clues to anybody specifically to have murdered Bunny. And they really weren't talking much about the podcast. You know, the podcast was the purpose of the show. It was kind of connected. And the fact that we really weren't talking about it made it really interesting. I mean, made it just feel like the show had changed. I was still enjoying the hell out of the show. What fun is that the 7th episode was really good. And I came out of it thinking, no, we're so far away what the first season was, but I'm still enjoying it. And I just kind of hoped that they would find a way to kind of swing it back around, bring back in the podcast elements, and get us back to the clues to who the killer was. And they did that in basically this episode that was called Hello Darkness. Now, you don't make an episode called Hello Darkness without expecting people to think of the Simon and Garfunkel song, The Sound of Silence, because as soon as you say hello, darkness, just about everybody's mind goes, my old friend, you know, I've come to talk to you again. And, well, they embrace that in the most bizarre way possible in the episode. And I don't want to say too much about it, but we find out that Howard, the cat guy, is part of a group called Simon and Garfunkel. It's a singing, yodeling group that takes Simon and Garfunkel songs and mixes in yodeling with the song. But the episode is also about a blackout. So Hello Darkness makes a lot of sense. But it's interesting because we get a lot of focus on Howard in this episode, played by Michael Krill Creighton. And they had not come out and said at any point up until now that Howard was gay. I mean, they didn't say he was, they didn't say he wasn't, but he was just a cat guy, you know? His entire life evolved around his cat, and he was a librarian. Well, this episode comes out and says it. There is somebody in the building who is subletting, who I don't believe we've met in any episode prior to this, but because it's a blackout and everybody's in the lobby complaining, we find out that Howard is on the same floor as this guy, and he kind of likes him. And he's talking to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist tries to give him encouragement to go ask the guy out. And Howard's like, well, why would I do that? And he's like, just go ask him if he has batteries for your flashlight, you know, or something like that. Just start a conversation, because otherwise, you know, you're never going to make your life better. And he's like, what's wrong with my life? What's wrong with cats? So, but this whole episode where everything else is going on, you have Howard having this moment with this new character. Now, interestingly, they never name the character. They don't ever come out and say what his name is. And I've looked. I mean, I thought, okay, maybe I missed it. I went out to IMDb, nothing. I went out to other sites that review the show, and they've come out and said, no, they never say the guy's name. Now, he's played by, I had to look this up, Jason Veazey, who is a Tony Award and Pulitzer Prize winning Broadway performer. He was in A Strange Loop. And he's just identified as being a chorus boy on Broadway in the show. And he lives down, you know, thing. But we also learn, and this seems important, that he's allergic to cats. And when that's found out, Howard's like, so if I get rid of my cat and like double lint roll all my clothes and, you know, just completely clean my apartment and stuff, would you be interested in going out? So Howard definitely likes this guy. And they have a singing moment together, which is fascinating. But it's interesting that we meet him because we find out that the night of the killer, or the killing of Bunny, the killer sneezes. And there was another moment where we see the possible killer and they sneeze. So this may be a red herring, or it may be like Jan in the first season, where we really don't get the killer until later on. But we met Jan early in the first couple episodes when she flirted in the elevator with Charles. So it's not quite the same if we've never seen this guy before. But the sneezing is interesting. And it's possible that maybe we're looking at a new suspect. But why? What his connection is? We've got nothing, and we're 8 episodes in of 10. The other guy that we start seeing the evidence starting to question is Michael Rappaport's character, which I think is kind of funny, because last week when I started complaining, saying, we really don't have any new characters. There's nobody that we were introduced to that's been on the edges other than, say, Michael Rappaport's character, Detective Krebs. Well, now we start getting fingers pointed at Detective Krebs as a possibility. He's just somehow in the building when the blackout happens. We know the killer is in the building looking to go after Lucy. So, are they trying to say Detective Krebs is a possibility? There's also some hints that we might be looking at more than one killer, or a pair, accomplice type of thing. So, but they also get back to the podcast aspect, because we see the podcast fans at the restaurant, just like we saw Charles and Oliver and them in the end of the last episode. And they're talking about the show and how they just been doing filler episodes. That's the one thing I love about it, is that the podcast fans always call out the same thing about the show that the real fans are starting to talk about. Well, it just feels like filler episodes. We're not getting it. So they're calling out, the podcast is not going anywhere. But in this one, the fan named Marv, played by Daniel Orsex, is actually the narrator of the episode. He's pushing this idea of the 6th Street slasher as a candidate. And he plays into the episode as well. And we find out that he has a connection to the Arcadia. So it's like suddenly it's like, okay, we're going to talk about the podcast again, and we're going to talk about potential suspects again. So it looks like they realized in the show, or it was part of the plan, we're going to get away from it, but then we'll get back into it big. And we now have 3 potential suspects again. They start to negate one of them. I don't want to ruin the whole episode, but I want to, because I know JD probably hasn't seen it yet. He's probably sitting there with his earphones half off, going, "Just give me a signal if you need me." But so it feels like they're trying to get back on track, but we've got 2 episodes left now. So how are they going to wrap this up? Is one of these 3 guys the killer? Is it somebody we haven't thought of? We also spend quite a bit of time with the doorman, Lester. He gets a little bit of a spotlight here. So, again, I'm curious where they're going, because normally by this point, when it comes to a murder mystery, I've usually got a pretty good idea who the killer is. As a writer, you pick up on certain clues. Yeah. But they haven't given enough clues yet to really make that work. And they didn't really in the first season too. So I think, as much as I love it from a murder mystery point of view, it's not really following the standard murder mystery things. You got to give so many clues. You got to be able to look back and go, "Oh, I saw that coming." It's more of, well, it's going to be an entertaining. Triple B, we're talking about Only Murders in the Building. The 8th episode dropped yesterday, so we're talking about that. And being that we've only got 2 episodes left, trying to figure out who the killer is going to be, again, I just don't think we have enough clues. And if they do it like last season, we should get a really good idea this next episode. Because that's how they did it. We kind of figured out it was Jan in episode 9, and then episode 10 was the conclusion and the confrontation and all of that. So I think we have a couple of interesting suspects. Michael Rappaport's detective is a really interesting suspect. And when you watch the episode, you'll see why. The new neighbor, it feels like he's being kind of shoehorned in to give us a red herring. Let's see. JD says, see, in the first season, we had the crucial clue in the second or third episode. Anyone who knew what the object was knew very early. Yes, that's right. It was part of her, the cleaning kit for her cello. Yes. And it might be one of those where you look back. The difference is when I watched that last season, I came into it late, so I was able to kind of binge a bunch of episodes and then watch the last 3, I think it was. And I actually watched them with Lisa. I haven't had a chance to do that this season. So I don't have that person to bounce the ideas off of right at the end of the episode. Like, wait, did you see this? Did you see that? But Lisa is the one that noticed the sneezing. So I think the sneezing is going to be a key. And even Oliver at one point asked Lucy, because Lucy heard the killer sneeze, to describe the sneeze. And this is what I love about the show. He's like, was it more of a chew or chew? And she's like, more the second one. And then Mabel says, well, what does that tell us? He goes, I have no idea. It's like, okay, it seems like we're getting an important clue. And then Oliver just throws it away. So, all right, we got 2 episodes left. Looking forward to that. Tomorrow on the show, I am going to watch the first couple episodes, at least try to watch the first 2, maybe 3 episodes of Sandman, so we can have a talk about it tomorrow. I know a lot of people have already watched all 10. I'm not going to binge all 10 at once. I want to break it down over time. It's how I prefer TV shows. Plus, we get to talk about it more. If I watch all 10 and I do 1 episode about it, it just kind of loses it. If I do a couple episodes over it, we're talking about it more. We keep it in the zeitgeist more. So we will talk about Sandman tomorrow. Stick around after the show. Today is going to be comic collectibles with Rex and John and AR Comics. And they've got a couple interesting books. There's a Mark Waid copy of an old, like a reprint of a Green Lantern book. There's... I'm kind of surprised to see this one. An old Avatar Press book called Uber, and there's a copy of it signed by Kanan White, the artist for it, and a few other good things on there. Until then, Lightbringer. So we will be back tomorrow to talk Sandman. Stick around for Comics Collectibles. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I would really appreciate it, or the thumbs up if you're on Facebook. If you don't mind if I ask a quick question, do you know if there will be a second season of Vox Machina? Yes, there is supposed to be a second season of Vox Machina. It's always been part of the plan. So, Amazon was very happy with the first season, and there is supposed to be a second season in the works. I haven't heard any updates on it, but yes, there should be a second season. So, all right, guys, we will see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening. Stick around for Comics Collectibles. Good night.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at the experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox.